Hello and welcome back to Redirecting. I am going to plug this video into the Family Life series. A Family Life series. I just recently talked about the bad decisions that so-called black women make or have made. Okay. In this video, I want to talk about the need for complete honesty when raising children. My husband and I, we do not sugarcoat anything for our children. Never have and never will. When they become adults and they move out on their own, if they want to act a fool, it's going to be on their heads. None of our children can say that they've never been warned. Not only do we tell you what it's like out in the world, in the workplace, applying for jobs, applying for loans, getting bank accounts, and just all that other good stuff, starting a business, whatever it is, we tell our children the truth. We tell them the truth. No sugarcoating. When you go out and you find yourself another address, if you decide that you want to live reckless and lawless, is going to fall on your own head. The scripture tells you, or tells us as parents, to train up our children in the way that they should go. The ways of the world, however, can make a heart grow cold. We've seen this. That's an old song by Earth, Wind, and Fire, but the words are so very true. That the ways of the world can make a heart grow cold and lawless. You get out there in the world, you see things, you experience things, you do things, and sometimes there is no coming back from that. What I want to do in this video is I want to encourage parents. I know some of you have adult children already, and some of you have children that you are raising. Whether you have adult children or children that you are raising, I want to make some things very clear that it is expected of us as parents to be very straightforward and honest with our children. And if they allow themselves to be coaxed away by the ways of this world, then their own blood will be on their own hands. That's the way it works. Because we have a duty as parents to prepare our children for the whole world. You don't want to sugarcoat things. You don't want to coddle them. You don't want to cushion the blow of reality. What I mean by that, let me explain. Let me stop right there and explain. When I say cushion the blow of reality, I think it's very sad when a child grows to be a teenager or even a young adult in their 20s, and they have no idea how the world works or what to expect from people once they step outside of your doors. Sugarcoating everything, making them think that life is easy, making them think that it's a cakewalk and that everything is going to just fall in place for them without preparing them for what is to come. I think you do your children a disservice when you don't tell them the truth about history, when you don't tell them the truth about society, when you don't tell them the truth about relationships between various racial groups, when you don't tell them the truth about getting employment, discriminate, all kinds of things. When you don't tell your children the truth, you do them an injustice. And so we cannot afford to sugarcoat or coddle our children. We have to train them in the way that they should go. If they depart after they get outside of your doors, so be it. The problem is a lot of parents have this need and desire to be friends with their children. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to be friends with your children. What I'm talking about is a specific type of friend. Hanging out with them, drinking with them, partying with them. That's what I'm talking about. I fully expect parents and children to be friends, liking each other, looking out for one another, taking care of one another, respecting one another. But the type of friendship I'm talking about is a friendship that should not be where your children are doing whatever they want to do and you are right there with them. Partying, smoking, drinking, drugging, whatever it is. There are parents who actually have those kinds of relationships with their children. And you have those who refuse to tell their children the truth about anything. For one, I respect order. I appreciate order. And guess what? A lot of children do as well. And when they don't get that, it shows up. It definitely shows up. Now, I do understand there's so many variables today when you look at how children are turning out. So many variables. You send them to school. They learn so many different things from the school environment, the work environment, kids they hang out with in the hood, television shows, music they listen to, movies they watch. So many things. This is why that song, a child is born with a heart of gold, but the ways of the world make their hearts grow cold. That's why those lyrics are so very powerful, because it is so very true. If your children are exposed to all of these things through school and community and television and movies, music, all of that plays a part in how they turn out. It definitely does. With your first children, you make so many mistakes. You think that you're supposed to give them freedoms that they were never intended to have. When they get those freedoms, sometimes there is no coming back from the things that they absorb into their minds. But there does come a time where they reach a certain age and they have their own choices to make. The problem is, I feel like Western society keeps our people, or people in general, in a perpetual state of youth, to the point where people are not growing up. In ancient times, a 12-year-old could be a king, ruler of a nation. But a 12-year-old today, all they want to do is play, have fun, video games, movies, nothing serious. It's rare that you can find a 12-year-old that is serious about anything today, because they are kept in that perpetual state of youth. It is sad to see how some of our children grow up and they go out from us and they turn into something that you can't imagine, that you never expected. But that testifies to the demonic power and influence that is present in the world today. Now, I may do a separate video on this, but I had a viewer who questioned my saying that a good 50% of the people that you would probably see in Walmart probably have demons. I want to go more in depth on that, because the problem is most people see demons as the growling and snarling creatures that you saw infect the girl in the movie The Exorcist. But see, demons don't always manifest that way. Some of them are literally angels of light. You don't even realize that you have been deceived by a dark power, masquerading as a power of light. This is why a lot of people don't understand talk about demons, because they're expecting all of this just craziness to come from their actions, when sometimes demons are very, very, very intelligent. That's what I meant, but again, I may discuss that in another video. But again, back to the subject at hand, talking about our young people. It is really sad to see how so many go astray. And it is very difficult to pull them back when they go astray. See, but the problem is a lot of parents are trying to reach out to their children in a way that is unhealthy. They want to pull them back in their mess. They want to say, well, I'd rather have them here in their mess than to have them away from me and I can't influence them. Well, see, the problem is once they get out and they start doing certain things, I don't care what it is. If your daughters want to go and dress like whores and live like whores, and your sons want to sell drugs and gang bang and do all of this kind of, sometimes you just got to let them go. I know it sounds cold. But when they get to the point where they want to be lawless and do what they want to do, and they have no need for your instruction and no respect for your order that you have in your home, it is time for them to get a new address. That's the way it's supposed to work. But parents today, they will allow their children to stay in their presence doing all kinds of nonsense. Nobody says that you don't love them, that you shouldn't love them. Regardless of what your sons and daughters do, you still love them. But does that mean you put up with and tolerate their foolishness? I'm sorry, but we got to love you from a distance. If this is how you want to live and behave, got to love you from a distance. That's just the way it is. That's the way it should be. As for me and my house, we will serve the Most High. I love and respect our Creator more than anybody, including children. It's really sad to me when I see just our children in so many different states of mind. You have some that are so scary. I mean, straight up scary, where you have to be concerned as to whether or not they are going to rob you or bust you upside your head or something like that. You have to be concerned about these things because they're getting younger and younger. Detriments to society. It's a shame that we have to consider and concern ourselves with those things, but it is what it is. But parents, you have a duty, and that duty is to make sure that you are feeding your children the right information. And when they get to the point where they no longer want your instruction, it is time to say goodbye. It is time to say goodbye. And I know that it's so hard because we love our children. Yes, we do. The Most High loves us too, doesn't He? He certainly does. But He still has requirements. And those requirements are etched in stone. They are not optional. He expects us to live a certain way. And when we don't do that, He chastises us. And He even turns His back on those who want to continue in lawlessness. Yes, He does. And so I want to give this video as an encouragement to parents, because I know many of you are at a loss as to what to do with your children who have gone astray. All you can do is pray. All you can do is pray. That's all we can do. Anything outside of that is too much. Because when you get to allowing them to just remain in your presence, doing whatever it is they want to do, saying whatever it is they want to say, behaving however it is they want to behave, they have no motivation to do right because they've accepted me the way I am. This is how you end up with big, overgrown 30 and 40-year-old men still living in their mother's basements, barking orders, asking or yelling up the stairs, "Is dinner ready?" Or young ladies living with their moms, piling in the house with several babies, daddies coming by to pick up their individual kids or babies. Now listen, I am not putting anyone down. I'm just saying that we've got to start looking at our situations, family, if we ever want to improve. I don't condone anyone's wrongdoing, period. My children already know, you go astray, you on your own. I don't condone anything because you're my child. I will never condone your wrongdoing. Likewise, I've said this many times. If my husband decides to go astray, he is on his own. Likewise, he said the same thing about me. You go astray, you are on your own. And we've even taught our children, if mommy and daddy get to acting weird and talking strange, saying all kinds of strange, y'all depart. You don't follow after that. This is what I mean by telling it like it is to your children. We should never support another person's lawlessness. And let me say this again. I feel like I have to keep saying this because sometimes our people just don't get it. They have selective hearing. Nobody is telling you not to love someone who has gone astray. But all you can do for them is pray for them, because if you start accepting their lawlessness and their lifestyles, that's where you start to have problems. We've shared the testimonies many times on our ministry channel where just say you have a friend who has parents, and this is a real scenario I'm referring to as well, friends of my husband. The young man in question is deceased now, but when he was selling drugs, his parents did not discourage it. As a matter of fact, they supported it in a sense. Let me tell you what I mean. They allowed him to remain in their home while he was doing this, both selling and using. And when his life came to an end, I would say that his blood was on their hands as well, because it was because of the drugs that he lost his life. And those parents accepted the gifts that he gave from the money that he received. Notice I didn't say earned, but the money he received from a lawless lifestyle. So many times you will have parents who will accept the gifts, knowing that their child is doing something they have no business doing, but they support by accepting the gifts. So, did I say that those parents shouldn't love their child? No, I didn't. You can love them, but tell them, look, you got to get another address. If this is how you want to live, you need to live somewhere else. That goes for sons and daughters. If you think you got life all figured out and you don't need to adhere to the rules of the household of your parents, it is time to get a new address. I still love you though, but you got to go. It is what it is. And not enough people are taking this stance. And this is why our communities are out of control. And I'm not just talking about black communities either. Across the board, you can see lawlessness in children, where children are calling the shots and parents are afraid. Parents don't want to tell them not to do this, that, or the other. Parents don't want to stick their noses in it because they feel like this is a new thing that's happening. This is a new generation. Times have changed. Get with the program. This is what people are buying into, that type of foolishness. But I tell you what, as for me and my house, we will serve the Most High. With that, I am out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.